Lon Alonzo. I guess my claim to fame is Dynamix 2, just to give the DJ a break. Uh, I guess just talk about.
Tell us how you and don't worry about it. Like if something messes up, we're gonna edit it, so we'll just keep rolling the whole time. Just be relaxed and don't worry about it. Tell us your influences and what started you like DJing and producing.
Yeah, so yeah, I love electro music. Back in the day when I was a little kid, my father brought me a nice Kraftwerk album. He used to go to London every year, so he brought back this Kraftwerk album called Autobahn, and I was blown away by it. So ever since that day, I heard that album, I wanted to make that type of music, electronic music, and I started hearing things like. Am I supposed to be looking in the camera, by the way, or does it matter? I mean, where I look?
It looks good. You're looking at the camera, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it was looking good. How you doing? It looks straight.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Egyptian Lover, Egypt, Africa Bambaataa, all that stuff just blew me away, and that's really the reason I wanted to get into this music. So I wanted to buy 2 turntables and a mic to kind of start DJing and learn how to do this music. And my brother said, "Hey, you should meet up with this guy I know. I go to school with him. Is a good friend with him. His name's David Noller." So I said, "Yeah, all right, sounds good." So we hooked up, and he brought me to his house, and he had the the 1200s. He had the mixer and everything, and he used to do mixes every day just about. So he would, after school, I'd ride home with him. He was 2 years older than me, so he was, I think, a senior when I was a sophomore. So every day after school, we'd just say fuck the homework, and he'd drive me back to the house. We'd hang out. He'd sit there and do mixes. Then I got my turntables, and then we started collaborating on the. We had a nice 2-track, reel to reel. We'd do some edits. We'd make some mega mixes, and that's pretty much how Dave and I met. And then I think he put together a demo with what the fuck's his name? Danny D. That's his name. And he did That's the Way I Like It. So he was shopping that around. And I think originally he went to Beware Records with it, and I think that's where Danny wanted to take the song. And they went down to Miami, met up with Norberto and Eric Griffin, and they shopped at the bass station, because at the time they had the what was it, Triple M bass. They had just been out, and they liked. I think David was intrigued with that record label, so they went and shopped it there, and I think Eric really liked it, and they wanted to sign him. This is Eric Griffin, by the way, and I think Danny was sold on Beware because he was good friends with those guys, and I think that's pretty much how they split up. And that's when David called me and said, "Hey, I got with this group, and I got with this record label, and if you want to partner up, we can do something." So that was pretty much how it got started. And originally, Eric Griffin had this track called, it was George of the Jungle, basically. It was basically just a dome, 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 dome. And, he just, from the old TV Tunes records, he'd scratch in George, George, George of the Jungle. And that was going to be the name of the track. And basically, we talked him into doing more of an up-tempo track because we wanted to, David and I were into the whole DJ thing, so we brought a bunch of records and said, we'd rather do something more like the Planet Rock style because we like the up-tempo shit. And, Eric Griffin was the one that was kind of tuning the bass kind of before anybody else did. And I think George of the Jungle was kind of the reason, if you think about it, why it made sense to kind of tune the bass into the bass music. And they pretty much came up with Give the DJ a Break, and then Dave and I pretty much just added the scratches to it, but that was really Eric Griffin's beat. And Dave and I went in the studio and just did the cuts. And I think the rest is history. He actually brought in Too Tough T, who had done a record years ago called, I think it was Shot Out or some shit like that. I don't know. What the hell was the name of that? Do you have any idea what the hell the name of that record was? Shot Out, I think it was. It was on Records. It was the same label as the Megatron shit. Not Megatron.
You can drink your shit.
Cheers.
Bro, that was a good story. I didn't know none of that shit. That's funny.
All right, so let's go into. So we talked about Give the DJ a Break. Let's talk about the success of Give the DJ a Break into Feel the Bass.
Yeah, all right. So anyway, we got so Dave and I, Dynamix 2, and we ended up doing I guess kind of a work for hire contract where we just signed an agreement that uh, Base Station owns a song, and uh, David and I are pretty much freelance artists. We could do whatever we want. And we also added to the contract that we own the name, unbeknownst to them. They didn't know that we added that. So when they signed it, they basically said that we had the rights to the name Dynamix 2, and we could use it to promote ourselves, what have you. So bottom line is, David and I had the name, and they could no longer use it. And the reason we included that is that we heard they were actually going off doing shows as Dynamix 2, and we wanted to kind of, Dynamix 2 was our persona. We wanted to keep that. That was our group name. So that's the reason we included that. And that whole thing caused a big fallout between us and Eric and Umberto, and we kind of wanted to do our own thing at that point. And so that was when David and I formed Chaos Records. And so we didn't really have a vocalist, because the vocalist was Too Tough T, and we had tried to engage him several times, but I think he was a bit strung out. So we kind of went into another direction, and we met up with one of David's old friends, Cooley C, Calvin Puckett, and so we had this big tour scheduled for Northern Florida, and so we needed a vocalist. So we talked to Calvin about it, and he checked with Beware, and it was good. So we ended up touring Northern Florida with him, and so we didn't have any music really to do, so we had to create some songs for him. One of the songs that we were doing on tour was "Let Yourself Go," and so we created that while we were actually on tour, and I think it was in Gainesville. KJ had come along with Calvin on at the show, and that's when we were touring. We're actually with Dimples T at the time, who had was a big hit, "Jealous Fellas," and so. So anyway, I lost my train of thought for a sec. They said, so before we went on, I think Beware asked if KJ could be involved in the show, because I think there was a little, I think KJ felt a little left out because we were, working with Calvin, and he felt like he was kind of shying away from the group that he had formed with KJ. So he had him do a little intro with him, and they performed "Let's Get This Party Started" before the show, and. So anyway, we finished the show, and after the show, I just remember, we stayed in the hotel, woke up the next morning, I saw Calvin, and he said, "I just split up with KJ last night," and he had this jacket that had Cooley C and DJ KJ. He had already taken the DJ KJ out of the damn jacket already, and had it all sewn away, and he's like, "I'm done with him." And it was kind of crazy. And then, so KJ actually ended up DJing for Dimples T like the next day. They had some show that week or maybe a week later, and I heard apparently there was some. They did a live show, and I think that the exact words that KJ used was, "If y'all are a fucking faggot, y'all need to leave." So then their booking agent wanted nothing to do with them after using that word. So. That was a short-lived collaboration between Dimples T and DJ KJ.